Hi, my name is Courtney Horn, and I am coming to you today to share my testimony. This is kind of crazy for me, honestly. I really, until this week, have never put down on paper or said out loud my journey in relationship with God and how everything in my life has come about, and it feels good. It feels great, and I'm excited to share it with you, but I'm also very scared and nervous. I'm sorry I look a hot mess. I've been cleaning the house all day. This quarantine's got me cleaning like a mad woman. I'm cleaning baseboards. It's getting real. But I had God tug at my heart, like Stephanie was saying, to share this with you. And I've never done anything like this, but I'm just gonna lay it out there for you, and I hope that in some way that it's gonna help someone or enlighten somebody. And I'm excited. So I do talk a lot. I'm gonna try to hit the high points. I'm gonna try to not talk your head off. I do have some notes here. I'm a note taker, and I tend to be scatterbrained, so do definitely have some things written down. I will start by telling you I am from Ackerman, Mississippi, and I did grow up in a family that were not Christians. I did know about God. I did grow up with my grandmother took me to Sunday school growing up. She had me my first Bible, and she, I was in choir at the church with her, and all growing up, and even in middle school and high school, I was in a youth group on Wednesdays. So I did have somewhat of a relationship with God, but it was more about social status with me. I wanted to go there to see my friends. I wanted to hang out in high school and middle school. I didn't actually have a true relationship with God. And I always knew that He was my God. I always accepted in my heart. I was baptized in this really small, very nasty pond when I was a kid. And until last summer, I didn't know what it truly felt like to have a relationship with God. And I'll start out by telling you that in my senior year of high school, I got pregnant. And it was a big shocker for me. It was a big shocker for my family, my friends, and it was hard. And it was very hard for me at first. For me, it was all about social status in high school and what people thought about me and how my life was going to go. And I had this thing in my head about how I wanted my life to go. And I wanted the white picket fence, the Prince Charming to come in my life and have a kid, have a great career, have all these things. And then this comes along and I'm just throwing a curveball. And I don't know how my friends are going to react. I don't know how my family's going to react. I'm scared. Luckily, I have great friends and family that got me through it and helped me, and I was able to go to college, and I was able to have a career still in the medical field. And my stepdad paid for my apartment. He paid for my bills. He paid for everything for me to be able to be a single mom and be in college and get my degree, and I'm forever thankful for him. But the problem is throughout my journey, through all of this, through having a child at a young age, is I never seeked God. I never put him into the picture at all, really. I just went through things on my own and handled it on my own. I'm strong. I've got this. Is what I always thought. And I just never put him in the picture. And in college, I made lots of mistakes because I seeked acceptance. And the problem is I didn't seek acceptance with God. I seeked acceptance with relationships with guys, with other people, especially guys, because I don't know, I just wanted to feel wanted and loved, but in the wrong way, and not with God, but with, I thought relationships and Tinder would make me happy and make me feel feel that void. But it didn't. And I know why now. I was looking for the wrong thing, the wrong relationship. And fast forward, I, in college, found out that, or right before I finished x-ray school, Landon was in a daycare that I took him to called God's Kids. And they told me that they were going to do some testing that they do on all the kids, just to see where they're at, what levels they're at, all of that good jazz. And I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. What, do what you need to do. I'm 21, I'm just like, do what you need to do. I was really winging the whole parenting thing, which I know we all do, but at 21, 21, I was really winging it as a single mom and had no clue. But anyways, the next day they came and said, hey, Landon has a developmental delay. And I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean? And I wasn't really shocked by it because Landon walked late, he talked late, he did things late, but he always did them. So I really wasn't too worried about it because he always did them. So, I didn't too much worry about it. And they were like, well, we just watch him and just know that, if anything comes up that, he does have a developmental delay. I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. We'll take it as it comes. Well, I graduated x-ray school. I left my toxic relationship that I was in, and I moved to Memphis where my stepdad was, and me and Landon had a little house, a little rental house here, and he started pre-K. Well, in pre-K, they kept telling me, Landon is disruptive. Landon is, running around the circles when he should be sitting in circle, and da-da-da-da. And, I'm just like, well, he's just being a boy. He's being 4 years old, 3 years old, or 4 years old at the time. He's like, I wasn't just too worried about it. I disciplined him at home and, don't do that, of course. Did what I thought was best. Then things kept getting worse. It was to the point where they're like, Landon's throwing chairs at children, Landon's, biting children, and Landon's, doing all this. And they're like, we think Landon should be tested for for any kind of psychological things going on. And I'm just I guess I'm kind of in denial at this point. I'm just like, okay, I'll do whatever they think, needs to be done. So, of course, I go get this testing done, and at 4 years old, Landon was diagnosed with high-functioning autism and ADHD. Well, that was hard for me. I was young. I didn't even know what autism was, honestly. And still, I don't understand autism, but it's a lot. And if you have ever been around anybody who has autism or know about it, then you'll understand. But at the time, I had no clue. And so I started researching and doing all the things and did what I thought I needed to do. Got him in therapy, got him in this ABA therapy that he needed and whatnot. So I thought I was doing everything right. And then he started kindergarten in a public school. And so he was in kindergarten and first grade in public school. And this is where things started getting bad. We noticed that I got frequent calls in kindergarten that he is suspended because he was throwing things, hitting the teacher with a backpack. He was having toileting issues. And he was just having a lot of behavior problems and disrupting everybody. And I'm like, well, what can I do? And she's like, well, just talk to his therapist, and maybe y'all should get him on medications and just all this stuff. And I'm kind of overwhelmed. I'm like, okay, well, I try different things, and because his behavior got so bad, we did start him on medications, and I was against it for a while because he was so young, but it was impeding his learning and very badly. So we tried that. We tried so many things, and then in first grade it got even worse. I was at work. I worked at the hospital, and I was getting calls from work every day to every other day to come get him, to pick him up, because something was happening. Something was going on. Something, he hit, he punched, he bit, he was screaming bloody murder. There was one time that the cops were called on him, and he was in first grade. I had so many meetings with teachers, with principals, trying to basically get help for him in the classroom, trying to get one-on-one, and they fought me on it, which was, to me, crazy. I'm just like, why would they not want help? Why would they not want to help him? It was crazy. So I tried talking to other people. Things just really got bad. It was to the point where, and it's hard for me to say this out loud, especially, but Landon would cuss me, call me the B word, call me, he was 6, 7 years old, and he was clawing me to the point of me bleeding and trying to hurt me. And the thing is it wasn't his fault. He had problems, he had issues, and he always apologized afterwards. He would say, "Mommy, I'm so sorry." It was like he was a different kid, like when he got into this rage, and it was heartbreaking to see, because I felt hopeless. I felt helpless. How do I help him? What do I do? I was at a loss. I was calling therapists. I was calling psychiatrists, psychologists. I would put him, once they kicked him out of public school, and he went to a autism school, and he was there for a semester, or for a school year, and even they kicked him out. Even the special needs school kicked him out. And I called these facilities that were mental facilities for children, and I never in my life thought that this would happen to me. And I would ask God so many times, why? Why me and my child? Why should we have to go through this? What did we do to deserve this? That was my feelings back then, and I hate that. I hate that, but it's the truth. And I put blame, and I pointed fingers, and I judged, and I had no clue. I was just so not in the right place at the time, and all that mattered was Landon. And I didn't seek God's help. But there was that there was a meeting that happened with the autism school teacher, and she was just like, I think that you should send him to this inpatient facility in Georgia, and it's the best place. And I'm thinking, this is insane. Like, I mean, I'm at my wit's end because I don't know how to help him, but at the same time, I don't want to send my child away to a different state to be inpatient without me. I mean, I want to help him, but there's got to be another way. I'm thinking, and everybody keeps telling me, oh, you need to put him inpatient. He needs help, and I know he needs help, but I mean, I didn't know what to do. It was to the point where Landon was asking me, Mom, am I going to get kicked out of this place too? It's sad because it wasn't his fault. It was horrible. It wasn't his fault, and I didn't know how to help him. And we had multiple babysitters quit because he would just be horrible to them, but they all said that he had such a kind heart, and he does. He really does. He just don't know how to deal with his emotions, and didn't have control over a lot of his emotions, and didn't have that trigger of turn off, turn on. And I mean, we tried essential oils. You name it. I've Googled it. I've talked to somebody about it. Youth villages, everybody. But guess who I didn't ask? I didn't ask God. And I know I was a Christian growing up. I lost myself for a while because I wasn't turning to Him when I needed Him the most. And I needed Him financially. I needed Him because, and there was so many ways that financially I wasn't getting through. There was things that they said, oh, you make too much money. You can't qualify for this help. You can't do this. And I needed God's help to get through this. And I didn't. I didn't. There was one day, I remember this day, and I had went to talk to a facility. It was a pediatric psychiatric ward. When everybody else told me no, he couldn't go to school here, I was just trying to find him a school. I couldn't find anybody that would take him just to go to school, something plain and simple as going to school. And at the time, I was asking God why. Like, why can't I do simple things like taking my son to a movie? We couldn't go to a regular theater because he screamed with emotion and would get us kicked out of the theater. And go to school was a hard thing, and I just couldn't bear it. But we went to this outpatient facility, and I remember them telling me, no, he needs to be put inpatient. The only way that he can be put inpatient is if something happens at your house and you call us emergently, because he's too high functioning to just be put inpatient. And I'm like, okay. And I really didn't like the idea of inpatient anyways, because he'd just be staying there without me. But if it's what he needed, then I was going to do what was needed. There was a night, and my now fiance Nate has been in Landon's life since he was 4, and he's been great to him, and he's helped me through this. But there was a night that Landon, I can't remember the exact circumstance of why Landon got upset, but Landon got so upset that he was banging the walls, putting holes in the walls in his bedroom upstairs here. And He was cussing me, calling me MF this, and he could not calm down. He was literally clawing himself, and he was yelling, and he was cussing, and he was not landing. He wasn't. I didn't know what to do. I've been through so much, and I felt like every time I tried to figure something out, then something else would happen. And while he was screaming, I asked Nate, I said, can you please just, we would have to hold him down, hold his arms up so he wouldn't hurt himself or us. We would literally have to hold him down. And to see your child like that, it literally hurt me. It killed me. Killed my soul, my heart, everything. And the worst thing is, at the time, I didn't think that there was anything to do about it, because I wasn't looking to God. I was looking to solutions in the world. And I remember that night, I was downstairs, and he finally calmed down. Nate got him to calm down, and he checked on me. He said, "Are you okay?" I said, "I just need some time by myself, please." And I got into the bedroom, and I laid down in the bed, and I just cried, and I cried, and I cried. And for the first time in, I don't even remember, I prayed. I prayed to God, and I said, "God, please help me and guide me and come into my heart. And I need your help. I need to look to you, and I know I've been wrong. I know I've sinned. I know I haven't been the person that I need to be. Into my heart. Show me what I need to do. And I'm sorry for all of my sins. I'm sorry for everything that I've ever done. But I need you." And I had this long conversation, prayer to God that night, because I was at my end. I was like, I need a solution, and I haven't found it. And I finally, for the first time in a long time, I turned to God. And the next day, let me tell you, God is amazing, because the next day, after all that I went through for years, the next day, I got on a homeschool page, because there was no schools that would take him, and I got on a homeschool page, and I typed on there, I said, "I need help. I need a tutor. I need somebody to help us some days during the week, because we both work full time, and we need somebody to help homeschool my son." And in my head, I'm kind of being pessimistic. I'm just like, since we've had so many people quit, we've had babysitters quit, we've had people not work out, nobody that understands Landon and how to deal with him and how to handle him. I was like, I don't know how we're going to make this work. And that same day, I got a reply on there, and there was this lady that said, "You need to call me," or "Please call me," or something of that nature. And she wanted to meet with me. Okay. Yeah, that's great. So she came into the kitchen right here behind me over here, and she had on a necklace that had a cross on. And she sat here and she told me, "Courtney, I know what you've been through. I dealt with it with my daughter. And just know you're not alone, and I'm here to help you." She introduced me to a Christian curriculum homeschool group called Classical Conversations. They learn through music. Anybody that knows my Landon, he loves music in any way, form, or fashion. And they learn through music, and it's a Christian homeschool group, and they only meet once a week, and a parent has to be with them, which Landon needed because he needed that support. I mean, it was like everything fell into place. She was like, I'm going to show you how to homeschool. I'm going to help you with the curriculum. And she's like, I've been through all of this, and let me help you. Wow. That night, I cried again, but it was tears of joy. Because I finally, when I turned to God, look what he did for me. I mean, not that he'd never blessed me before. I've had so many blessings in my life, and I'm a very grateful and blessed woman. But I turned to him, and the thing that I've been battling for years, there was a solution. So this was last summer, and then in August we started homeschooling. We got his medicines changed around. We had a lot of different changes to a different therapy since then. And I mean, I still kept my prayers every night. I prayed to God, thank you. Thank you for coming into my life. Thank you for showing me, for guiding me. Thank you for helping me. And in August, when we started homeschooling, everything was great. His aggressiveness was nothing. It was just basic autism things that we deal with. Like, we still have some toileting issues. I mean, he's 10 years old and we still do. It's something we deal with. We still can't go to the movie theater, but guess what? We go to the drive-in theater so that we can be in our own vehicle. So if his emotions go crazy, it's okay. We're there to help him, and nobody in our car cares that he's screaming. We're going to help him. We just do things a little differently in our house, and I'm okay with that. And I love it. I wouldn't trade it for the world. God showed me that everything happens for a reason. He showed me that there's always a solution. It might not be the one that you're looking for, but there's one. There's always a solution. And I honestly believe I went through all of that for a reason. I learned so many lessons. It brought me close to God. It makes me realize how much I am blessed with. It's made me so much more open-minded. So much. I used to judge moms at Walmart that their kids were throwing a fit. Girl, I'm not going to judge you. I promise. Especially, I mean, I'm not going to judge you anyways, but I've learned that there's so much more than just judging people. You don't know what they're going through in their life. When Landon was in back when he was not in his good place, we got kicked out of Target all the time, and people were looking at me, judging me in the way that I used to judge others. And I think being shown that showed me what I used to do, and it showed me how to be a better person, honestly. And I wouldn't trade my story for anything, because it's brought me to where I am in life now. I have an amazing job. Landon is great. I have a great relationship with God, and I'm building that every day. Just especially since all this has happened last summer. And I will tell you this, just to show you that anytime you think you have an excuse of why you can't do something, God's gonna be like, just kidding. No, there's a explanation, or there's something you can do for that. I'll tell you this, after all that happened last summer and the school year, in this past December, my grandfather passed away. And I wasn't very close with my grandfather. Of course I knew him. He was my mom's dad, and they called him family, and so we rushed up there to West Point from Memphis to that night, and they said that he was on life support, and we'll see how he did through the night, but they're not expecting him to make it. So we had a lot of family rush in, and I met some people that I've never met before. That wasn't my family. And come to find out, one of my grandfather's brothers that I'd never met, it's my great uncle, he's a pastor. And he was telling me about his church, and he was telling me all this, and I was saying, telling him about my relationship with God and how grateful I am for homeschooling and all this. And then he told me that he had a sermon on online. And just a few weeks prior, that summer, or the whole time from last summer to then, I made excuses of why I couldn't go to church, because I took a second job on Saturday nights to work to help pay for Landon's homeschool tutor. And so after I worked a 12-hour shift, it was hard to still stay awake to go to church. And I know that's a horrible excuse, but I still did pray to him every night. I still worshiped in my own way, but I really wanted to keep building that relationship and wanted to worship on Sundays. So I was honestly at that point trying to figure out how. And then I meet him, and he says he has a live sermon every Sunday on Facebook, and he has this church, and he showed it to me, and I joined it, and then online. And now every Sunday, me, Landon, and my fiance Nate, we watch his sermon. And it's a blessing, because no matter what excuse or no matter what thing comes up in your life, God has an answer. And he's shown me that. And now I love watching the sermon. But the day my grandfather died, we was all in his room in the ICU, and they were about to pull him off life support. And there was about 10 family members in the room, including me, my mom, my great uncle that's the pastor. And it was so quiet. It was silence. And I remember him saying, "Robert listened to K-Love a lot, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And we were like, yeah, he loved listening to K-Love. He loved listening to K-Love. And at the time, I didn't really listen to K-Love. I knew some of the songs on there, but not all the time. But then he said, "Does anybody know the song I'll Fly Away?" And if you're familiar with it, it's an old hymn. It was my favorite hymn as a child. And out of all the hymns in the world, that's the one he pointed out that night. And I told him, I was like, that was my favorite hymn as a child. I love that hymn. And he was like, "Do you want to sing it?" I'm not a really good singer. I mean, I was in chorus, but I'm not anything magnificent at all. But me and all my family members sang "I'll Fly Away" in the ICU room with the door open, with the nurses listening, with the other patients there. We sang loudly "I'll Fly Away" to my grandfather. And I felt God in that room. I felt him. Like I can literally just think about how I felt in that moment. and it touched my heart. I can feel it right now. It's crazy. But God is always with you. And it took me a while to figure that out. It took me a while to figure out that I need to lean on Him, that I need to look to Him for my problems. And I'm so glad that I did. I'm constantly growing my relationship. I've honestly never studied the Bible. I know basic Bible study video or things from a child like Daniel and the Lions Den and Noah's Ark, basic things and Bible verses that are well known. But have I ever done a Bible study or anything like that? No. But then this came along right after all this has happened to me and in this journey in this past year, and I'm like, yes, I want, I've been watching the sermon. I've been, I keep wanting to learn more. I want to do more. I want to do right by God, and I'm interested. I want to know His life, and I want to know more about Him. He knows my life. I want to know about everything. So I joined this Bible study, and it has been amazing. And every time I do one, I can relate to it, and I'm like, I've been through that. And then it's amazing, and it's bringing people together, and it's great. And I plan to continue doing Bible studies to learn not just Joseph's story, everybody's story. I want to dig into it more, and I want to just keep building my relationship with God. I am beyond thankful and beyond blessed for everything that I've been through. But now every morning I listen to K-Love, and I never thought that I'd be telling you my testimony, but last Sunday when I was listening to Stephanie, or Kelsey say, does anybody want to share their testimony? I kept thinking about it. I kept on thinking about it. And I've never been the person, I've never even said it out loud. My journey with God, I've never put it into paper. I've never done that. And for some reason, I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And the next morning, I turned on K-Love on my way to work, and the song I'm a Believer came on. And it says, I'm a testifier in it. And it kept, it repeats the chorus several times, and it kept saying it. And I smiled as I said it, because I've been thinking about it and praying about it. And then it just keeps coming up. And then right before I got out of my car, the lady on the radio was like, it was telling how she shared her testimony. And I'm like, that is the second time this morning that's come up. And it's a sign. And so I felt called to tell you my story, and I hope that it has touched your life in some kind of way. And I'm a child of God, and I'm so thankful to Him for putting everything in place in my life that's happened to lead me to where I am now, because I'm so very blessed, and I can't wait to grow my relationship with God more and more every day. I'm a sinner. I'm not perfect, but I'm going to try every day to do right by Him. And I'm thankful for this journey. And I hope y'all have a blessed day. I hope I didn't talk too much. But I'm excited to share this with y'all. But anyways, y'all have a good day.